1 month after their arrival in the year 2060, the cave boy Mac and his sister Jen are adjusting to life in the 21st century. They are living in the Smith Wilson mansion and are taking lessons from a tutor as well as from online classes.
You are doing remarkably well, Jen. You seem to have no trouble understanding basic math concepts. Even as a cave dweller, I had to know how to count in order to distribute gathered food among my family. I also needed to know how to use the sun, moon, and stars to navigate when a long distance from the cave.
You say you want to become an auto mechanic like me? Yes, Mr. Sterling. I'm fascinated by how cars and other machines work, and I think I would enjoy working on them for a living. That seems much more practical than the lessons Miss Darling is giving me and my sister. Being a mechanic is actually a pretty complicated business. Cars consist of hundreds of different parts, and there are many different models of cars, trucks and other vehicles. And the lessons the tutor are giving you are important too. Talk to me in about a year, and if you are still interested, I can have you apply for a job at my auto shop.
Welcome to the Tuscany Tavern, Dr. Drake. What would you like to order?
Some chicken parmigiana and a glass of red wine. Are you enjoying your retirement? Yes. It's good to not have to go to work 10 or 12 hours a day with the lives of others in my hands now. But at the same time, I am not inactive. I am writing a book about my experiences with religion. About how I grew up in this town and was originally inspired by my Christian upbringing to become a doctor, then became a follower of Reverend Dave Owen. I thought he was a decent man like me, until... Are you trying to get me fired from my hospital? The Sims found out that I was the one who told you of Carrie Sim's suicide attempt. If they sue me over what you did, I'll take you down with me. You were supposed to keep that matter private. I thought as a Christian minister it was my duty to try to bring the gospel to the Sims. That Carrie needed to be saved. Maybe she does, but what you wrote her and her mother's was just insulting. A simple invitation to our church, without mentioning the suicide attempt, would have been far more appropriate and wouldn't have gotten me in trouble.
You are a representative of this Baptist church as well as the Christian faith, and now the Sims think both this church and Christianity are shit because of you. I think you should be fired from this church.
And that was the start of my church converting to Unitarian Universalism. But even before that, I felt a conflict between my medical profession and my Christian beliefs that bothered me.
I can't have a baby right now. I'm only 16. My parents will call me a slut for getting myself pregnant, and my now ex-boyfriend says he won't marry me, so I am ruined. I had sex with him because I thought that would keep him with me, but I was wrong.
You were taken advantage of, but you shouldn't be punished for such a mistake. Motherhood shouldn't be a punishment for anything. Maybe I shouldn't do this, but this hospital does occasionally perform abortions for medical reasons. I can tell your mother that you have a severe pelvic infection and then schedule you for an abortion instead. I will keep what was done to you a secret and you will remain safe. Most of those who say they're against abortion assume they would never need one themselves because they are pure, so they would never get themselves pregnant out of wedlock, and those who do deserve to be punished for their sin. They are such idiots. Most women who have abortions are married but don't want more kids, and they are already using birth control, but it occasionally fails. That's why feminists pushed for abortion to be legalized in the first place. Every child should be wanted, period. And there are almost 9 billion people in the world already. We don't need more. After the incident with Reverend Owen, I took a long look at Unitarian Universalism. I found it to be completely devoid of the self-righteous bigotry Baptists like Reverend Owen are known for, and that you could still be Christians among UUs. Once I understood that, it was a simple matter to explain all that to the others at my church. I found out that the Southern Baptist Convention began in 1845 when they rejected a motion against slavery favored by Baptists up north. This was before the Civil War, which ended slavery. By contrast, most Unitarians and Universalists have always been against slavery and the racism that was used to justify it. Don't you think we'd be more loyal to Jesus if we were not members of a church that was part of a racist movement?
You are right. Jesus never condoned slavery, and I don't think he was racist either.
Your Aunt Carla, and Jason Laker had many such conversations with various members of the Baptist Church and gradually won most of them to our side. And the final blow came when the Sims and the Smiths came to visit our church and explained to us exactly why they were atheists and formed their own UU fellowship to oppose our Baptist teachings. They proved we were wrong and they were right.
Remember that Jesus, said to be the founder of Christianity, was a Jew, as were his early disciples. Therefore anyone who is a genuine Christian would also love and respect the Jewish religion and people. Anti-Semitism should have absolutely no place among Christians. Jesus himself wrote nothing that survives to this day. What you read about him in the Christian scriptures, commonly called the New Testament, are second-hand accounts of what some people thought he said. Do not take those quotations at face value. Do not believe that the Bible or any part of it is the infallible Word of God. That is actually an insult to any real God that may exist. Remember that one form of idolatry is attributing God's glory to anything man-made, including books that have references to God himself in them. The many references in the Christian scriptures to the coming of the kingdom of God were interpreted by many Christian leaders as referring to the literal coming of Jesus to conquer the world and directly rule it afterwards. This is absurd. If that was the case, it should have happened while the generation that lived in the time of Jesus still was around. They have all been dead for over 1900 years. Those prophecies must already have been fulfilled with the rise of Christianity to take over the formerly pagan-dominated Roman Empire. Writers like Hal Lindsey, who claimed otherwise, were lying to us. Remember that the Apostle Paul, who wrote about half of the Christian scriptures that were later accepted by the early Christian community as valid, was not even an original disciple of Jesus. He led some of the early Christians, including many from non-Jewish backgrounds, in a very different direction from the groups that consisted mostly of Jews. The Jewish groups eventually faded away, leaving the non-Jewish ones. The result was a badly distorted faith. After all these centuries, we simply have no way of knowing if Paul was a legitimate Christian leader or not. In most cases, you must be a Christian and nothing else. Do not claim as your primary religious identity any subdivision within Christianity, such as Roman Catholic, Baptist, Methodist, Mormon, or anything else. You would be a Christian who might go to a Baptist or Catholic church, but that's it. Reject as necessary or justified any division within a Christian community that claims to be the one true religion. It is only Christianity itself that ever should have made that claim. Not Mormonism, not the Jehovah's Witnesses, nor any other such radical reformist or restorationist group within Christianity. These are simply additional divisions that do more damage to the credibility of Christianity itself. There is one exception to this: if you are also a member of a religious group that is actually multi-faith, like the Unitarian Universalist Association. Then you should distinguish yourself from non-Christian UUs, but also celebrate the UAism you have in common with them. Next to take the podium was Lucy.
When I was younger, I used to wonder why hypocrisy was such a problem in religions like Christianity. One day, the answer came to me in the Bible itself. In the Law of Moses, specifically Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 16, it is written, "The fathers shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the fathers. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin." Incredibly, Moses himself broke that law. When the Midianites were conquered and plundered by Moses' followers in Numbers chapter 31, Moses gave this order: kill every male among the little ones. He actually insisted that boys die for the sins of their fathers in that case. Also, in 2 Samuel chapter 12, verses 13 through 18, God killed a newborn baby for the sins of his father, King David. Jesus condemned hypocrisy among his own people. Why should God himself, who gave us the laws in the Bible, be allowed to break them? The simple truth is that God had nothing to do with the writing and assembly of the various parts of the Bible. It was written by men who told stories about God and those who believed in God, but those were still only stories, just as the Harry Potter novels are stories of this modern age. Is it possible that the writers of the biblical stories intended in at least some cases to make fiction, and then centuries later some people mistook those fictional stories for real history? Imagine if 1,000 years from now, there was a religion based on the Harry Potter stories. So how can religions based on biblical stories be justified but not a religion based on Harry Potter?
The next speaker was Jessica. I and my wife have gotten a lot of hateful messages insisting that our being a lesbian couple violates the laws of God. But as my wife just said, God does not keep his own laws, so why must we? Also, Lucy spoke of God killing King David's baby. But as an atheist, I reject that idea. Ironically, atheism lets God off the hook, so to speak. If there is no God, there is no one to blame when a baby dies of an illness, or if a hurricane destroys a coastal town and kills dozens of people there, or if there is a mass shooting in which 5 or 6 people die in a shopping mall. Tragedies just happen. It is useless to either blame God for them nor to ask him to fix things. The responsibility for doing repairs after any disaster is on us alone. As Lucy said, when God and his messengers do not follow their own rules, they open the door for rules to not matter at all. For anyone. And that is why I, as a highly ethical atheist and Unitarian Universalist, don't need your kind of God-centered religion at all. I do have strict rules and principles, and I seek to obey them in all ways. Those rules are based on real needs of real people in real time. No God is involved in such rules, and therefore there is no issue of hypocrisy from that God. The hypocrisy, if it exists, would all be on me.
Those people were nothing like what we were taught atheists were like. We were taught dogmas to justify prejudices, not facts. I'm glad to see your wife is the minister at our church now, and she is just as pure-hearted as any Christian should be, even while calling herself humanist. Yes. Vicky is just awesome as she is. Marrying her was the best thing I've ever done. And speak of the angel.
Hey, honey. Are you ready to eat with me?
And that's my cue to leave. Enjoy your evening together, you crazy lovebirds. What happened to Locke and Pelabong after they were left behind?
You did the right thing sending Jen and Mac away. Now we have room in this cave for the baby that is coming next.
Indeed, there was hardly any place for a third child, and Jen had told me she never wanted to be sent away with a mate from another family. Even though others said they wanted her, she would have been unhappy with a man she did not like. And she would have hated me for giving her away.
And I would have hated you too. Jen was always my most precious baby. Even if I never see them again, I am happy knowing Jen and Mac were given a chance at a better life with those powerful people from the sky. You wanted to see me, Chief Johnson?
Yes. I just did a review of your service record, and your efforts are most impressive. I think you qualify for a promotion to lieutenant. But I'm curious. You were once police chief in a town east of here. Why did you leave that position to come here?
About 7 years ago, my wife Debbie, who was serving as the town's mayor, learned that one of her friends, Claudette Rouge, had died in a car crash. Debbie and Claudette had been models together in Aphrodite Agency, and then Claudette became the CEO of the agency. In Miss Rouge's will, she left the ownership of the agency to Debbie. So Debbie resigned as mayor and I resigned as police chief, and we moved to Dallas so she could take over the modeling agency. I wanted to continue doing police work, so here I am.
Interesting. I will grant you the promotion. Your actual work won't change, however. Why fix what isn't broken?
Of course. And thank you.
Now what?
Debbie Smith. This is Matt Lasinski, mayor of the town you used to live in. Could you and Carrie return to visit the town this weekend?
What's the occasion?
We are going to have a special ceremony to honor your mother, who is generally agreed to be the greatest mayor this town has ever had. I have already mailed you a written invitation, but I am also calling you as a courtesy.
Thank you. I will look for that invitation. Why would Mayor Lasinski be hosting a ceremony to honor my mother now?
Probably because he is facing a tough re-election campaign and thinks associating himself with your mother will help him win.
Ooh, cynical. But yeah, This is clearly a political stunt on his part. I remember when he opposed Mother Sandy and favored Mike Florence to win the office. Then after Florence left office, Matt and I fought each other tooth and nail over who would be next as mayor. That ended our friendship with Kelly Grimm, who naturally sided with her husband against me. She and I haven't spoken ever since.
Mother Debbie, maybe this is also an excuse for you and Mother Carrie to renew the friendship with Kelly Grimm. It's always sad when friendships are ruined because of political differences.
Sure, if Kelly apologizes for the insults she hurled at me before I was elected mayor of the town, I will forgive her. It's never healthy to hold grudges.
Mother Jessica, do you and Mother Lucy want to return to the town to attend the planned ceremony honoring Sandy Smith?
No, I am content to stay here. Just let us know how it goes.
I personally thought it was a huge mistake firing Kelly Grimm from the town's police force over her supporting her husband to be the next mayor. It wasn't just about that. It was about all the remarks she made about Debbie on social media. I took that as a personal betrayal of me.
A few days later, Debbie, Carrie, Richard, and Diana have arrived in the town. They are joined by James, Penny and many others at the town's convention center.
James, do you know what is going on?
Just that Mayor Lisinski wanted to have a special ceremony to honor our mother for the work she did as mayor of this town. Which, in my opinion, is way overdue. Look, the mayor is about to speak. Are you ready?
Yes. We should have done this long ago. I hope this works.
Kelly Grimm steps away and Mayor Matt Lisinski proceeds to speak. Thank you all for coming today. As mayor of this town, I have supervised a huge growth in both its population and its economy, but that trend actually started almost 25 years ago due in part to the construction of a power station outside the town that has supplied all its electricity since it was built, and that enabled the town to become self-sufficient, saving our people vast amounts of money in the long run. And all the credit for this belongs to Sandy Smith, who was mayor of the town before me. To be honest, I opposed the construction of the power station at the time, as did many others, but in hindsight, it is clear we were wrong in operating from a limited vision. What was considered a waste of money turned out to be a now vital part of our town's infrastructure that we would be foolish to give up on now. So now, it is time for us to give credit for the success of this town where it always belonged. I have commissioned a painting of Sandy Smith that will be displayed at the town hall for all to see. It includes a detailed caption describing her life and her achievements. Behold. Mayor Lisinski then steps over to the painting and removes the cloth covering it to reveal it to the audience.
Wow, that is so beautiful.
Yes, especially since I was the one who made it.
You painted that? When?
About 6 months ago, when Matt and Kelly met with me at an art studio. They paid me $10,000 to make that painting. See? My signature is at the bottom.
Debbie, I am really sorry about the hurtful things I said about you. Saying you felt entitled to the office of mayor only because of your mother. Calling you a pathetic wimp who is only a pretty face, not a capable leader. Clearly, I misjudged you. You proved yourself better than I thought. You did cross several lines in your misguided efforts to support your husband. But you and Matt having this painting done of my mother makes up for it. Thank you.
Your plan worked perfectly, just as you intended.
Thanks for your help and your willingness to forgive us. Honestly, I never endorsed what Kelly did to Debbie, and you were maybe justified in firing her from the police force over it, but at the time we were too angry to think clearly about the matter. We just needed to be reminded later of what was really important. Tulsa, Oklahoma. August 5, 2060, the anniversary of Sandy Smith's death. Also 1 week after her birthday.
So this is where your mother was buried? No. After she died in a nursing home in Dallas, I had her body cremated and her ashes split between me and James. James later told me he dumped his share of the ashes in the creek outside the town. I still have mine. I did have a headstone carved for Mother and put it right beside that of my father. Here they are. I wish I could have attended her funeral. I still admired her despite the bitter rifts between the two of us. Maybe if I'd been there, we would have reconciled much sooner.
Perhaps. It is pointless to dwell on the past. We just need to move on, having learned important lessons along the way.
What lovely flowers. Did you put them there?
No, I think they were placed there by Steve Miller and his wife Denise. Every year, they put more flowers on her grave.
Considering that your mother killed Denise's sister Diana Kelly, I'm puzzled as to why she would bother with your mother's grave.
Mother had no choice. As you remember, it was literally a case of kill or be killed. And Denise was herself a target of Diana's cruelty, on many occasions, even when they were little girls. They never had a normal sisterly relationship. Denise herself once told me that my mother replaced Diana Kelly in Denise's heart. Mother, more than anyone else, made it possible for Denise to be happy for the rest of her life. I think we've spent enough time here. Let's go back to Dallas.
So you want to take another time trip with this ship?
Yes, Mac. Now that we have confirmed that the time travel device on the ship won't burn out, we might even go as far back as your parents' time to visit them again. I'm sure you and your parents miss each other. You might even take the option of staying in the past with them if you want. The choice is yours. What do you think, Jen?
I certainly would love to see them again. But, as for living with them as we did before, I couldn't do that. I like much better what we have in this time. The constant struggle for survival in prehistoric times doesn't appeal to me.
I agree with Jen. It's been hard to adjust to life here, but it would be even harder being thrust back into our old cave with our parents. No offense, but our parents are literally dead to us, and I think we should keep it that way.
As you wish. At least you have the option of returning if you change your mind.
How about we travel back to when your grandmother Sandy was in her youth? I only knew her as an older lady, but it might be funny seeing her as a teen or even a child.
If we do that, then we should take Mother Debbie and Uncle James with us. They might benefit more from such an experience than any of us.
In August of 2060, Debbie, James, Richard, Diana, Jen, and Mac prepare for another time trip.
Okay, so we will be going to the year 1990, when our mother was 16 years old.
Mother told me that was the year she became an atheist.
How are we going to make contact with her? If we reveal ourselves to her, wouldn't that cause problems for our timeline? That's why I asked Jen and Mac to come with us this weekend. They can make contact with her and her family and just pose as teens that are native to 1990. And we will be going to the summer of that year, so attending school won't be an issue.
Diana, robot, are you ready? The ship is fully powered and ready to go. Everything looks normal.
Okay, let's start. Richard, perform the time jump. The coordinates are set. Engaging. Wah! We have arrived in the year 1990. Activating the invisibility field. We will land in a rural area between Oklahoma City and Tulsa.
Jen, you are about the same age as my mother was this year, so you are to go and befriend her. How will I find her? Mother once told me her first job was working as a waitress at her father's restaurant when she was 16. So you will go there as a customer. Except you will have no money. Instead, you will have to beg for food. So, are you ready? As ready as I'll ever be. Send me down. Activating the teleporter.
Debbie, where did you say the restaurant is? Look at the map icon and check the listing in the app. I have the location marked for you. I see it. I will follow the directions given by the phone.
Welcome to the Pink Octopus. What can I get for you?
Actually, I was wondering if you could give us some free food. My brother and I lost our parents recently and now we are homeless. But we still need to eat. If you feed me for one day, I could do some work for you. Maybe I could clean tables or sweep and mop the floor?
Perhaps. Let me ask my father. He owns this place. Father, there is a homeless girl who says she is willing to do work for us in exchange for food. Should we hire her?
Tell her she must do the work first, then I will inspect her work, and if I deem it acceptable, we will pay her with a meal.
Okay, that seems fair. Yes, you may do some work for us. I will give you some cleaning supplies and you may spend the rest of the evening cleaning the floor, the tables and the restrooms. But you must do a good job here to earn your food.
I understand. Trust me, I am used to working hard. I just wish I didn't have to.
Thank you for your help today. It was such a relief not having to do any cleaning and giving the job to someone else.
What is your name? My name is Jen.
My name is Sandy.
Sandy. Smith, perhaps.
No, my last name is Green. And yours?
My last name is Smith. Yes, Jen Smith.
Oh, so you thought maybe we were relatives and that's why you came here? Sorry to disappoint you, but we will help you even though you are not family. I can't imagine how painful it must be to lose your parents.
Jan, you actually did a fairly good job for us, considering it was only your first day. So we will not only give you a free meal, but an additional $20 for you to keep. And I will invite you back for another day's work here too.
Could my brother also work for you? He needs to be fed too.
Sure. I will give you some carry-out food to share with your brother. And I hope we see you both tomorrow.
Jen returns from the Pink Octopus Seafood Restaurant with the free food she was given to share with her brother. This fish is awesome. I'd love to have more.
You will certainly have more when you come with me to the restaurant. But I am puzzled about something. When I met Sandy, she said her name was Sandy Green, not Sandy Smith. Did I meet the wrong person? No. Her family name was originally Green, but it became Smith after she married my father, Rich Smith. In our culture, women who marry often change their family names to match that of her new husband. That practice is less common now though, because women and men are considered equal in our society. Odd that most of you have two names. Jen is the only name I've ever had. My mother said she named me after one of her sisters, who died when she was 4 years old, because Mama said I was as cute as that sister. Maybe when we get back to 2060, you and Mac can make up your own family name. I kind of already did. I told your mother that my last name was Smith. Oops. No big deal. Smith is a highly common family name. Mr. Green, I'm back, and I brought my brother Mac with me.
Hello! I hope you can do for me what you did for my sister.
Mac, I will put you to work in the kitchen as a dishwasher. Jen, you will clean the tables and sweep and mop the floor again.
Several hours later, Sandy arrives at the restaurant to meet Jen and Mac.
Father says you and Mac are finished with your work today, so I would like to invite you two over to my house. I'm sure you would like to have something besides this restaurant's seafood.
That's awesome. You are so kind.
We will join you as soon as we are done eating. Mac and Jen then follow Sandy to her house. But after they arrive,
Sandy Green, are these the two homeless kids your father mentioned to me last night?
Yes, they are, Mother.
I don't want those dirty poor people in our house. You should have more pride than to associate with people like that. I don't want their lazy habits rubbing off on you. Excuse me? I'm not lazy. In fact, Sandy's father put both me and my brother to work to earn what we wanted from them. Why are you so rude to us? My naive husband may have been willing to let you work in his restaurant, but I am the ruler of this household.
And I won't allow you and your brother to stick around here and possibly steal from us. Now get out.
Wow. I can't believe how prejudiced Mother is. But didn't Jesus teach us to care for the poor and accept everyone? How can she claim to be Christian, then?
So my grandmother just threw you and Mac out. That's right. She was so cruel to us. We did nothing to her.
Remember when we first met and you and your father attacked us? That wasn't fair either.
True, but at least we gave you a chance to prove you were harmless to us. Mrs. Green just looked at us with a kind of hatred that was totally different from her husband and daughter. I don't understand that.
Isaiah, if you are so desperate for more workers that you hire homeless kids to work for food, that's your problem. But I won't allow such people in our house again. We didn't raise Sandy and our other children to hang out with people that are too poor to live in a proper home. They should stick with their own kind.
So far, Jen and Mac have been good workers. They can't help losing first their parents and then their home. That could have happened to anyone. Ever since you inherited your father's estate and became a landlady, you have looked down on people that are like those kids. Being rich doesn't make you a better person.
Tell that to the callous. That family is doing way better than us and I want us to catch up to them. And that can only happen if you stop giving away our money to charity cases. Sandy, it's a call for you. Take the phone in the living room.
Now what?
Hello? Hello, Sandy. How are you doing? I heard you got hired as a waitress at your father's restaurant. I guess that's the only sort of job a loser like you can get, eh?
Jennifer Callie, what work I am doing is none of your business. We are not even in school together anymore, so knock it off.
Obviously because I graduated with honors. And now I am about to marry a rich man and I'm already pregnant with his baby. So my life is awesome. My parents are both so proud of me. Maybe we should all come to your restaurant so we can have the pleasure of making you serve us, eh?
There are more important things in life than being rich and putting down others, Jennifer.
Yeah, keep saying that to comfort yourself. The world is run by people like my family, idiot.
First my mother and now Jennifer Callie. I know we need money to live, but this obsession with wealth and social status sickens me. Thanks for coming in to work another day. Again, I'm really sorry about my mother.
It's not your fault. I'm just puzzled as to why you and she are so different from each other. Shouldn't parents and their children have the same values?
I think I take after my father much more than my mother. I don't know what brought those two together. I do know that when my mother was in high school, her worst rival was a girl named Penelope Callie. And then decades later, my worst rival was Penelope's daughter, Jennifer Callie. Mother says she wants us to be like the Callies. That seems so wrong. Why not just live your own life and not worry about what others do or have?
I agree. I see nothing wrong with your life now. And you are a beautiful girl. If we were not co-workers, I'd be wanting you for a lover.
That's sweet. But I am not gay. Though I have no problem with such people. Welcome to the Pink Octopus. What do you want?
What I want is for you to serve me to the best of your ability, loser. That is your lot in life. And if you don't satisfy me, I will start telling everyone I know what a crappy place this is.
Fine, I'll get you a table.
Oh no, it's Jennifer Callie again. Will she never stop trying to bully my daughter?
Sandy and her father are having to deal with Jennifer Callie, who in the future will be the mother of Diana and Denise Callie.
Jen, I have an idea. Could you serve the customer who just came in? Her name is Jennifer Callie and I used to know her in high school.
I'll give it a try. Here is your order, ma'am. Thank you. You must be new here. I didn't see you the last time I was here. I was hired just this week. I wonder how long you might last here. This is such a crappy place. If you don't like it, why come here? Because I like to keep lesser people like Sandy Green and her father in their place. It's their job to serve richer people like me. Sandy, that woman I just served is just as terrible as your mother. She thinks you are beneath her, just as your mother thought I and Mac were beneath her. I'm sorry, but I find both their attitudes disgusting.
I understand. And my mother goes to church every Sunday too, but she doesn't love others like Jesus did. That's sad.
Who is Jesus?
You don't know who Jesus is? I guess you were never taught anything about religion. Next time we meet, I will bring you a Bible. You can learn about Jesus from that.
Several hours later, Jen and Mac have returned to the USS Sandy to report to Debbie and James.
My mother was a devoted Christian until she tried to read the Bible all the way through and found a story in it that sickened her. I'll show it to you.
Debbie gets a Bible and shows Jen and the others the story.
Okay, here is that story, Numbers chapter 31. The Lord said to Moses, "Take vengeance on the Midianites for the Israelites. After that, you will be gathered to your people." So Moses said to the people, "Arm some of your men to go to war against the Midianites so that they may carry out the Lord's vengeance on them. Send into battle 1,000 men from each of the tribes of Israel." So 12,000 men armed for battle, 1,000 from each tribe, were supplied from the clans of Israel. Moses sent them into battle, 1,000 from each tribe, along with Phinehas son of Eleazar, the priest, who took with him articles from the sanctuary and the trumpets for signaling. They fought against Midian, as the Lord commanded Moses, and killed every man. Among their victims were Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur and Reba, the 5 kings of Midian. They also killed Balaam son of Beer with the sword. The Israelites captured the Midianite women and children and took all the Midianite herds, flocks and goods as plunder. They burned all the towns where the Midianites had settled, as well as all their camps. They took all the plunder and spoils, including the people and animals, and brought the captives, spoils and plunder to Moses and Eleazar the priest and the Israelite assembly at their camp on the plains of Moab, by the Jordan across from Jericho. Moses, Eleazar the priest and all the leaders of the community went to meet them outside the camp. Moses was angry with the officers of the army, the commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds, who returned from the battle. "Have you allowed all the women to live?" he asked them. They were the ones who followed Balaam's advice and enticed the Israelites to be unfaithful to the Lord in the Peor incident, so that a plague struck the Lord's people. Now kill all the boys. And kill every woman who has slept with a man, but save for yourselves every girl who has never slept with a man.
Is that what is normally done when opposing tribes fight? Kill the enemies and take what they have?
The ancient Israelis were supposed to be better than their neighbors, because they worshipped the one true God. But they were not. They certainly didn't have to kill all of the men, women and boys and keep the little girls as slaves. That's what war criminals do, not enlightened people.
And because Moses was considered a prophet of God, anything he commanded was acceptable to his followers. But as atheists we don't blindly follow anyone like that. We seek a higher standard based on absolute rules of right, wrong and truth that apply to all. Morals shouldn't be changed even if a God wants to change them, and they should still matter even if there is no God. And truth must be found in the universe we all live in. It cannot be found in a book made by men that has lessons that were said to be taught by a god or his prophets thousands of years ago. This is all so complicated and confusing. Why can't people just be good regardless of what they believe? That's a question we have been struggling with for thousands of years, Jen. I and James can only tell you what we believe. You have to decide what is best for yourself. No one else.
Jen and Mac returned to the Pink Octopus for one more day of work there.
This will be our last day here. I was just told that I and Mac will be taken in by relatives who live in another state. That's awesome. I'm glad you have finally been given a home. I wish you two the best. Oh, before we part company, I want to teach you a few things from my Bible. Indeed, I will actually give you this Bible so you will have something to remember me by. Someone else has already been reading the Bible to me after I talked with her about it. Let's go somewhere private to discuss the matter.
And so the two girls go to the women's restroom.
Let me take your Bible and look up something I want to share with you. Maybe then you can explain it to me.
Jen then finds the story in Numbers chapter 31 and shows it to Sandy.
I don't know what to say. I had no idea such a horrible story was in the Bible. You own this book but you never read that part of it? How can you say you believe in a book's teachings yet not know all its contents? That's actually a good point. All these years I was content to only follow the lessons taught by my church. And I was never taught anything like this. Jen, I promise you, I will start reading my entire Bible from the first verse in Genesis all the way to the last verse in Revelation. Only then will I know this book and what I should believe about it. What other terrible things in it have been kept from me, I wonder.
Several hours later, Jen and Mac return once more to the USS Sandy.
Debbie, we came to the year 1990 to learn why your mother became an atheist. And it seems she did because of us. She told me that for the first time ever she will try to read everything in the Bible to know the whole truth about it. She says she feels like she was lied to. And because my mother was converted to atheism as a teen, James and I were raised as atheists and so avoided the trauma of having abandoned a religion we once loved. Thank you for your help. Now it is time for us to leave this year and return to the year 2060.
Richard, are you ready? Yes, Uncle James. The coordinates have been entered and the time travel device is now fully energized. Engaging.
Wow! And now this story is complete.